What's up guys, welcome back. TCG Metagame Breakdown for early or well late January, early February 2020, right? New TCG format, the ban list has gone into effect and this is pretty much the, well, like first breakdown of the format of the new TCG format. And from the ban list we already knew that a couple of decks were unhindered by the ban list, more anti-meta decks like Subterror, Altergeist for example. Spirals was an obvious one because of the new support in Magician's Souls. But, you know, like, they got more pieces back, and the other top tier decks were hindered, mainly Thunders and Sky Strikers, so the other path was pretty much open for those decks to reign supreme. So did they actually pull through? Let's take a look. This is the breakdown of the PPG tournament from Orlando past weekend yesterday. I think everyone already has seen this one, with Spirals pretty much dominating the entire top 16 breakdown, as you see here. Three variants of Spirals, being pure, being scraps, and being quite of an interesting variant. It's the Extravagance Spiral. More about that soon. But eventually, as you know, the deck that eventually won the tournament was Altergeist. Other decks in the top 16 as well was Dangerous, Lunalight, you know, still a solid choice because of Tiger, still a ridiculous card. The Dinosaurs got more pieces back in the form of the Earth Choking monster. We still see ORCUST, but for me, I feel underrepresented in the top 16 cutoff, and it's a Cyber Dragon variant. We still see SALAMANGREAT and one GOUKI, but more of that GOUKI build soon. So, okay, on one hand, it's a diverse top 16 breakdown, but on the other hand, well, like, Spirals dominating the entire scene. That's what I feel about it. But as I mentioned before, Altergeist eventually the winner of the tournament, and again, one of those decks that we might have seen coming from our new, or at least most recent, TCG Forbidden and Limited list. The anti-meta decks pretty much unharmed, and you know, Lightning Storm is going to hit the TCG scene really soon because of the, you know, like the new set. That's definitely a hard counter for these like trap heavy decks, a much needed answer probably for these trap heavy decks, because, well, like Spirals doesn't really like to play against a back row heavy deck. Let alone this particular deck main decking a card like Evenly Matched could definitely help out, right? Especially against all of those decks like, for example, Spirals that want to end with multiple negations, and I'm looking at, let's say, like Dweller, Tornado Dragon, depends if they're running the Tornado Dragon, that is, and even Dweller, we have like the Link 4 negating those monster effects, and of course Spiral Sleeper as well. So a card like Evenly Matched could definitely help out. So yeah, anyway, Altergeist taking up the first place here. Second place list, this was, I feel, a classic Spiral build, very similar to the Spiral builds we have seen from 2 years ago. Outside, of course, Magician's Souls, a very ridiculous card, I don't need to explain this. And of course, most builds have been main decking Where Are Thou to immediately search out a level 1. It's not running the Scrap Engine. Well, personally, I do like running the Scrap Engine to put up Appaloosa, really easy, but yeah, it might lead to some bricks with those Scrap Recyclers in the main deck, Jet Synchron as well, Scrap Golem as well, but anyway, so Michael State, I believe the name is pronounced like that, opted to run this particular build, and yeah, the hand traps. Draw and Logbird, pretty much currently the hand trap of the format. Most decks, as I've read, were main decking 3 copies or multiple copies of Draw and Logbird, if not made, definitely in the side, you know, like hard countering, for example, like a deck like Spirals. Double Master Plan, which is also what I was running in my scrap build. I mean, you want to have it in your deck, for example, and if not, and as we see from Aaron Chase Furman's build, let's take a look at that one. It's the Extravagance build. He was main decking triple Dark Magic Veil. It's pretty much a monster reborn for like your Master Plan, but it could also special summon your Master Plan from the hand. And you know how it is with Spirals, opening with Master Plan is quite briggy, but your Dark Magic Veil helps out with that. And you know, it might be a spell that you can send to the graveyard with your Magician's Souls. So again, I definitely like this particular build. It's not running or focusing on the Tri-Gate lock, but you know, just get out Appaloosa with, let's say, maybe like a Dweller. Even though Aaron wasn't running the Dweller, he opted to run like another Sprout, another rank 1 in the extra deck for more combos. But you know, Appaloosa Sleeper does seem very strong against a lot of decks, right? So I definitely like this build, surprising, but yeah, extravagance in an extra deck based, well, heavy extra deck based deck, again quite interesting, even with that yeah, triple master plan in the main deck, but it's definitely a deck to look out for. Spirals, you have to main deck against that deck, right? If not main decking, you definitely have to side deck against this particular deck also. Dinosaurs also ended up top 16 if I'm not mistaken, but the player I believe lost in top 16. There are 2 cards unknown, but if I remember correctly from the live stream, those 2 cards being unknown should be Dogoran, the Kaiju. He should be main decking that one at 2 in the main deck. So this particular player ended up main decking triple evenly matched also. Why not, right? I mean, if you're going second against something like Spirals, or you know, basically every deck evenly matched could get you there, equalizing the playing field. The True King monster in the main deck, of course, right? It's a huge boost for Dinosaurs, even though Konami x'd the True King engine with Diagram back to 1. But again, quite of an interesting one, and see how this is going to, or Dinosaurs, how are they going to develop in the new format. We see ORCUST again, as I mentioned before, kinda underperforming. Definitely expected more ORCUST builds in the top 16, but sadly not for now. But again, you know, players might test it. Again, still the first tournament of the format. People prefer going for Spirals first, testing out the waters, and maybe, you know, can change their deck, their lineup to ORCUST. So first of all, ORCUST, we have Cyber Dragon ORCUST by Blair Hunter. You know, every time when he tops, especially past year and a half, I guess, it was always with Cyber Dragon ORCUST, the variant that he's like very known for, especially past like year or, you know, like 2 years. Well, a little over a year, I guess. So yeah, ORCUST again pretty much underperforming, but definitely don't count out ORCUST as definitely one of the contenders in the current format. Salads did okay. We have Joe Buckley's list, quite similar to, well, not really, but the list I was using like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm looking at the spell and trap lineup that is, you know, with like triple will, the soul charge, a lot of traps. It's not running Dante, he's opting to go for Lion Emperor, definitely agree with that. Without, well, there's just no space for Dante because he's running the Link 4 as well. Pyro Phoenix, that's a solid choice, and maxing out the Jaguar I feel is definitely needed because it's so important for your main deck engine. Double Spaney, triple Dolan Lockbird, and only double Phantasme. Although a 40 card deck list with triple Pot of Desire, so that's an interesting one, even though it's a flat 40 card deck. So Salamangreats don't count out the deck, side decking like triple evenly, triple Twin Twister, and of course DD Crows. I mean, Salads, again, it's a deck that you have to take into account. Definitely don't forget this particular deck. Another deck, huge surprise here, GOUKI's, but look at this unholy abomination. It's main decking 18 hand traps, triple Droll, triple Ash, triple Veil, triple Crow, triple Ghost Ogre, and triple Impermanence, like 18 hand traps. Ah, Jesus, what is that? But yeah, GOUKI's, how is this deck going to develop in the format, right? I mean, going for hard, going for Isolde and go from there. It's GOUKI's, right? But 18 hand traps, Jesus Christ. Top 16, not really sure about his correct place, because I believe all lists were like being posted being top 16, but yeah, whatever, 18 hand traps. Lunalight is definitely one of those decks that I have high hopes for the new Master Rule 2020, but this particular build also ended up top 16, but is also main decking triple Magician's Souls with the Apprentice Illusion Magician. So that's an interesting engine, especially because, you know, Magician's Souls is quite splashable. It could give your deck an extra draw engine, especially because the Magician that you have to main deck for it to, you know, let's say special summon it, could be in this case Apprentice Illusion Magician, and if you can support the extra discard for, let's say, this particular spellcaster, why not, right? Especially because of the Lunalight spell and trap are those cards you might want to discard off of your Magician's Soul. So quite of an interesting deck here for Lunalights, but no Kali Yuga. I was personally running Kali Yuga and the rank up spell in my main deck, my Lunalight deck, but maybe consistency is why this particular player opted to not run that one. We saw Subterrors not in the PPG tournament from regionals, like top 4-ish, second place regionals. Again, don't count this deck out. It's an anti-meta deck, give it time. Subterror players definitely, you know, they're still play testing it, and in the current Master Rule 4, it's still a very strong deck. You know, blocking the extra monster zone with Guru from your opponent is still very strong. Sky Strikers, again, underperforming. But it's a deck that got like a huge hit on our ban list, of course, although it got some pieces back. Some lists, as I've already tested out in my previous video, the Pascal Kim's list. The winner of YCS London from a couple of months ago was opting to run Diablos as well, and Melody of the Awakening Dragon. An interesting list, but I'm not feeling the extravagance here in the main deck, right? I mean, Sky Strikers now are especially like focusing on control, on grinding your opponent, so potentially losing cards like Agari off of the extravagance might be a bit too dangerous. So okay, this is a cool, like, you know, Sky Striker list. The second Sky Striker list was posted on Asian Persuasion's channel with Rose as well. You know, they got back, got some new tools to work with, and in the near future, the new Link 2 might make this deck a solid contender again. But running the Floodgates as well with There Can Only Be One, but the deck needs to, it's missing something. Engage. yeah, I know. But yeah, it just seems that Spirals is just that the power level of Spirals might feel a bit too much. So that's why players prefer going for that particular deck, if not ORCUST. And then, you know, like maybe just bypassing something like Sky Strikers. So a deck like Thunder's nowhere to be seen, expected I guess, with the lack of Colossus in the main deck. But this is very early format, give it time, players will still try things out. Main deck against the best deck of the current format being Spirals, but still very early format, so give it time, right? Any opinions, decks that you topped with from past weekend? Definitely leave all suggestions, like all, you know, opinions down below. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.